I am starting the year 2024 with something iconic. And by iconic, I mean on brand, because new year, not new me. I'm still playing way too much V Rising, still thinking about vampires, and still trying to finish projects that I started on this channel almost 2 years ago and have not finished yet. But let's go back to the project that started it all, redrawing my childhood drawings. In case you're new or anyone forgot, because it's been so much time, this 25-page paper map is over 10 years old with over 70 characters that I drew throughout my childhood. I've redrawn about 11 and a half characters, and I'm about to bump that number up to 16 and a half. Welcome back to Redrawing My Childhood Characters, Oops, All Vampires edition. Sort of. Starting off the video strong with not a vampire, but I'm squeezing her in anyways. This is Blake. Not Valerie, despite what the Krita file name might tell you, it's lying to you. Blake is actually a winged raider, which I've conveniently flavored as a harpy vampire in this redraw, so I can title the video I Draw a Room Full of Vampires or something like that, so I can attract all the Drawfee fans to my channel. But yeah, remembering from my notes that she was a winged raider reconnected a neuron in my brain that literally hasn't fired in like 10 years. Winged raiders are from a book series called The Seven Sleepers, and I remember next to nothing about any of the books. It was a bunch of well, 7 probably, to be honest, that go off into various fantasy lands to defeat a repeating evil, and in one of the books the main creature featured were winged raiders. Those were supposed to be these horrible evil bat humans that glide around, and I don't remember why they were evil. I don't think they feasted on the flesh of overambitious teenagers, but it's been a while since I've read the book. Of course, my sister and I believed surely there were 1 or 2 of these really neat bat people that were deserving of kindness and sympathy, so there were some good ones that lived oh so conveniently in my little section of the land of monsters. This is the only character, I believe, out of all the drawings on this sheet that has indications that my older sister helped me draw her. I think I had some anxiety about drawing the bat wings, or maybe I asked her to draw the head because this was her character to design. But looking at the legs and the arms, those definitely resemble more closely what my own drawing style was at the time. And it's kind of funny because the reason I started getting good at drawing was because my older sister had started making maps and drawing characters, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. And being the annoying, horrible younger sister that I am, I thought, hey, I could do that. I mean, I was always a fairly artistic kid, but I distinctly have a strong memory where one of my greatest ambitions was to be as good at drawing as my older sister, which, you know, is halfway cute, but also halfway, how dare you be such an annoying younger sibling. But hey, I've grown and changed a lot over the years. I'm not just an annoying artistic younger sibling, now I'm an annoying artistic older sibling. I'm a middle child. Anyways, back to Blake. She took about 1 hour and 40 minutes to draw, and she stays quite close to the original design with her dip-dyed style ombre, curly hair, her general color palette, and a big red belt. I do switch out the bat wings for fluffy wings because I envision her to be a particular type of vampire that is kind of like a selkie, the mythical creature, not the fashion brand. Selkies are mythical women, and they wear these cloaks of seal skin that allow them to live underwater and have magic and look pretty much exactly like a normal seal or sea lion. However, without these skins, often in the case of someone else stealing and hiding it, selkies are unable to return to the sea. Blake's wings function, I think, quite similarly, where she can wear as a cloak of feathers, but without them she cannot take to the skies. But with that, I've already run out of time, and this is our first vampire harpy selkie lady. 3 minutes in, and that's only one of 5 drawings that we have to get through so far, so sit tight, get your popcorn, here we go, straight to the next one. This is actually Valerie this time, although clearly I was having a crisis about spelling her name. I do actually start several characters with this green color palette, but do end up changing that along the way. Although working in green for blocking in the main shapes really helps in a weird way, kind of like how I sketch in red instead of black. It helps me to not get so focused on making something look like skin or look perfect the first time, and I'm able to focus a lot better on shape language when I'm not as worried about the colors. It has been a minute since I've done this more shapey method of drawing where I start by blocking in a thumbnail instead of just coloring under a sketch. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I think chunking in shapes like this helps me with overall composition, but when I do redline sketches, I'm able to do a lot more fine-tuning to figure out an exact expression or particular accessory beforehand. Now, you might look at this pants situation and think, hey, that looks pretty similar to a certain vampire-inspired Vi drawing you made last year, to which I say yes, yes, what of it? I love pants with this cut. It's everything to me. Also, I love any look where it's half very formal and half I just got out of bed. Like, clearly she's wearing dress pants and a nice shirt, but also she has been lounging around in a robe all day. If I had more confidence in my ability to not spill every single food or liquid item I put my hands on, I would also be wearing every fancy bit of clothing I possibly could every single day to do my daily tasks. Unfortunately, my dexterity says no. As I get further along with the characters, I take varying amounts of creative liberties in the designs. Obviously, Valerie does not have purple skin in the original drawing, but she does have a purple dress, and I noted that her favorite colors are black and red, so I guess I would say I understood the assignment. I did try to be very intentional about making her have broad shoulders and a haircut that featured distinctive fringe or bangs, and black lipstick, since these are all defining characteristics of her original drawing. I also wanted to give her very long ears because I'm not sure. It just seemed right. I think I give, or at least imply, that everyone in this Oops All Vampires series has different ears because I just think ear variation is an underrated detail in art. But for the most part, I stay within the relative color palette constraints of the original drawing because I don't want to make a whole bunch of new characters. I want to build characters based off the concepts that I had in my childhood, just with the addition of my new art skills where I can actually visualize more body types, hairstyles, and clothing pieces. However, this does unfortunately mean we get no darker skinned vampires in this collection. Most of them have black hair and pale skin because, well, I was an 11-year-old being 11, which is a little bit of a tragedy because I love a darker color palette to work with, but to give younger me at least a little credit, there are many characters with skin tone variety and different ethnicities that I drew, just unfortunately not any of the vampires. Moving on from Valerie, very quickly you see for the second time I'm trying green skin tone, but spoiler alert, it doesn't work for this one. This is my favorite character of the lineup, probably because I said screw the original design in its entirety, time to make a papa vampire. But in a more serious sense, this is one of the bigger deviations from the original design because, again, I was but a child and my only understanding of what men wore were either they dressed like your average man at the Home Depot or they were an emo skater boy. Also, I could not draw business formal attire because collars and suit lapels are a very difficult thing to comprehend artistically. But yeah, there you see I scrapped the entire first draft for a new one because delete your art, baby. I had a singular goal and that was to make big boy vampire because not enough big boy vampires, too many small vampires. I wish I had made a big girl vampire too, but alas, I did not because by the time I got to my 7th or 8th hour of drawing vampires, my brain shut down. Who would have thunk? Anyways, so here we go, making some major changes to our boy Brian. Look, I only had so many boy names to choose from. The internet was not as full as it is today, and also I'm pretty sure we still had dial-up at the time, so I could not just be looking up information as my little heart would please. Back to Papa Vampire, I stick with the red and black from the original color palette, and I also give him the long dark hair that is only just a smidgen longer than it was in my childhood drawing. I get rid of the t-shirt and the baggy black jeans and exchange them for this outfit that is giving emo Viking vibes, I guess. Which, you know what? Whatever it is, it's a good look. I'm very, very happy with it. I think the reason I'm so comfortable redrawing the men of my childhood creations so visually different from my original design is because they didn't have the character development that the women did. My sister's cousin and I were, and I guess still are, girls. We just wanted to play the girl characters going on adventures. And I think I've said it before in a redraw video, but the men in this world were only created because after all the women did the research and went on adventures and saved the world, maybe, by chance one of them would want to start a family. And I was like, well, I guess I need to create some men just in case they want to own a house or adopt a cat, because who's gonna watch the cat if the women are out adventuring? So I guess all I'm trying to say here is that I feel very comfortable strongly deviating from the original design of the male characters because they're just not as inherently tied to the stories we made up as children. And honestly, the guys didn't really have a lot of personality besides being nice. Sorry, dudes. But with that, we close out pretty quickly on the third design of the series with some final touches to our fully vampire, Brian, who took almost 3 hours, but mostly because I decided to delete my art significantly into the process the first time. On to number 3, and as they say, third time's the charm because I finally get the green skin to work on a character. I don't know if it's actually because the green skin is working or if it's because I wanted a character to have green skin design, and I felt like this would be the last chance to do it. Either way, this is William, or Will. He's a full vampire, and I keep noting which characters are full vampires because I did start and end this video with drawings of Oops Not Actually Just a Vampire in a video that is clearly advertised as Oops All Vampires. Yes, I lied and clickbaited you, I'm sorry, but hey, you know what, you're here, it worked. This drawing took about an hour and 10 minutes. It's the shortest of the drawings that I have brought for you here today. If you have customized a character in the game of V Rising at least once, you will know that yeah, 100% I just drew a character using traits available in the game and dressed him up. I do wish they had more body types available in the game, but I will say I love the shape language of this hulking big shoulder vampire man. Not sponsored or anything, I just like vampires and shapey characters. William, again, is another male character that I really don't have a lot of strong memories regarding. I do actually think it's possibly because he's not my character. I think he's a character I made for my cousin, but interestingly, he's one of the only vampires that I drew that does not have dark hair. He has blonde hair instead, which he keeps tucked under a black beanie because, like I said, I drew either Home Depot men or emo skater boys. Nothing in between. I keep William blonde in this new drawing, but that's about the only trait that I carry over. And you can say that I'm doing a disservice to Little Me's love of emo scene style by redrawing all of these characters in more fantasy style clothing, to which I say, you should see what I do to the next girl in this line of drawings because I got rid of her scene hair and it actually broke my heart. But in a larger, more big brain sense, I went through to take a look at all of the characters I have left to redraw, and there are quite a few groups of more modern, non-fantasy adjacent teenagers that would give me plenty of more opportunities to bring back fluffy bangs, raccoon hair, so don't worry, I absolutely plan on doing an emo or scene redraws compilation because I think that would really truly put my little baby heart at ease, healing my inner child by giving my characters scene haircuts and raccoon extensions. I do want to point out that I'm actively trying to create consistencies between the various backgrounds. Not very complex backgrounds, but since these drawings are technically a set, I did want them to have at least one unifying feature besides being vampire, and I kind of wanted to say this one on the William one because I just like how this one in particular looks in contrast with the other ones. Okay, we're on the last character. Acacia spelled with like so many eyes. And yeah, Acacia, that's a big stretch. I put so many of my baby brain cells into that name after just your good standard names like Brian, William, Valerie, Blake, and with all the brain power I had in my little tiny child body, I named this character after a kind of tree. I mean, it's a good name, I stand by it. I'm just a little baffled as to why I made such a deviation in my naming conventions for specifically this character. Either way, this is Acacia. This drawing took just under 3 hours, like the drawing of Brian, but instead of blocking in shapes, I did do a red line drawing because I was kind of tired of just drawing people standing, so I thought, wow, why not draw somebody standing and screaming? Also, when I finished drawing William, I realized that these characters were all vampires, and for the most part, none of them had their teeth showing, and nothing about them besides vibes screamed vampire in particular. So with Acacia, I guess I wanted to make that abundantly clear. When I started drawing Acacia, I decided to sit back and think about how all these characters are related, because I remember with the werewolves and vampires in particular that I drew, there were distinct family units. Unfortunately, I could not untangle the web that is my horrible memory. For example, Acacia I thought was the daughter of a pair named Matthew and Farron. Matthew is a full werewolf and Farron is his full vampire spouse, a vampouse if you will. So if they have a child, it should be half werewolf, half vampire, or either or, right? Well, Acacia is half human, half vampire. Why is she the only one with bat wings if she's only half vampire? I don't know, don't ask me. How would I know? And you might be thinking, well, you were like 11. You could have just been making anything up. But you have to understand that at this very ripe young age, I was very interested in Punnett squares and the concept of genetic engineering. When I first learned about Punnett squares, I would imagine people and characters for fun and make up little Punnett squares in my head to determine what their hypothetical kids would look like, because I just thought it was a fun little puzzle. So if the vampouses, vampires, whatever, all got married and had children, you best believe that I was going to be very invested in all the little traits that they have and how they would carry over from either parent. So, needless to say, this is not a mistake that I made in my youth. This is just me currently having memories for only very specific things ever in life. Anyways, unfortunately, I guess we will just never figure out this family unit. We'll just leave this one a mystery, but with that mystery unsolved, we have finished Acacia. And now we have our big beautiful scroll of just so many characters. 5 is a lot. The total time for all of these drawings was over 8 hours. And I did also make 2-ish plus more drawings this week that didn't become part of this week's video. I felt like I needed to start 2024 off strong. Good vibes, vampire vibes, lots of new characters. I really want to put an emphasis on this year, especially finishing the projects that I started when I started this channel. So I want to get through a bunch of redraws and character journals and my campaign book, and maybe even making some shorts as recaps to my long form videos. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts and plans for 2024, and definitely plenty of new projects that I want to start also. Focusing on the Redrawing Childhood Character series, I went and counted. I know I have over 70 characters. Some of them are characters from childhood books I read, so I do plan to exclude a couple of those, but because I conveniently excluded some of those, I have come out to the very nice number of 69 total characters to redraw. And at the end of this video, we will be 16 down, 53 to go. And not to mention the whole map on the other side. So stick around and we'll watch that whole business unfold together. But for the time being, I think I've finally gotten rid of my drawing vampires itch. So here's hoping that the next couple of videos won't be so many vampires in one sitting, but who knows? Not me.